Hey, this is Tyruswoo, and welcome back to another tutorial for RPG Maker MZ. In this tutorial, we are going to cover how to generate dungeon maps, and we're also going to cover how to create pits. So let's just go ahead and get started by right-clicking over here on our map. Now, we are not going to generate a dungeon right away because that will replace the current map we have. So instead, we need to make a new map first. So we'll make a new map, and we're just going to call this the generated dungeon. And we're going to choose a tile set. We'll choose the dungeon tile set. We'll give it a width. I'll say 70 by 50. And we will also give it a background music while we're here. So we'll give it some background music and we'll just press OK. And so now we have our new map. So let's generate a dungeon in this map. I'm going to zoom out so we can see the whole thing once it's ready. We're going to right click on this map in the map tree and we're going to choose generate dungeon. Now you'll see we have some options here. We have rooms or maze, and we have margins or wide passages as some additional options and which tiles we'll choose. So let's just go ahead and choose some tiles that we like. I'm going to choose this gray tile for the wall, and I'm going to choose this brown dirt sort of look for the ground, and then we can choose rooms or maze. We can actually regenerate this dungeon several times so that you can see what they look like. So we'll just generate this one first, and you'll see it's made us a dungeon, and it's got several rooms in it, and it also has some passages connecting the rooms so that you could say maybe you start down here, you could go through the whole dungeon and end up at the end of the dungeon that way. So let's just generate again so we can see how it looks when we generate it multiple times. So we'll go here again, we'll choose generate dungeon. We have the same option selected. We'll press OK, and it's generated us a new dungeon that has rooms and passages. So it looks pretty similar about each time you'll make it. You'll notice that these aren't super fancy in the way they appear, so they do need to be decorated. You do have to add extra things to your dungeon after it's done, but it just gives you a great place to get started. So I'm going to just show you a few more times generating this so you can see what it looks like. Let's try the maze option. So we'll select maze and we'll press OK. And now you can see that it's made this maze that looks a little bit complicated to get through because we have a pretty big map. But you could imagine that you have one place where the player starts and the player has to get all the way through to another part of the map. You could maybe add in some of your own rooms in this map to vary it up a bit. So you have to add your own decorations to it. So let's generate it again as a maze. Let's add some margins this time. And so if we add margins, you'll see what that means is that we have this space around the edge of the map that it includes now on the map. So we're going to, let's just try that again. I'll generate the same thing and notice how the walls change. So it's not the same map every time. It's generating different maps for us. So you see the walls changed when we did that. And if we do it again, you'll see the walls change again. If you decided you wanted a different tile, you could go here and you could choose a different tile. Let's choose this one that looks like it has some vines on the walls, and we'll press OK to that. Or actually, let's choose a different floor too. We'll press OK to that. And now look, if we zoom in, you can see how it looks here. It's a different appearance to the maze when you choose different tiles for it. So if we chose this one and this one, for example, and now let's try something different. Let's try a maze with wide passages, as well as the margins around the edge. We'll also choose wide passages. So now you'll see that it has some wide passages here. It has this little glitch here. If we try it again, let's see if we get that glitch again if we just retry. So this time it eliminated it. So sometimes it'll do that, but you can just try again if you're not satisfied with it. I kind of like the appearance with the wide margins. It gives you a little more space to do a little bit of eventing, a little bit of things going on, decorations around the edges without it getting in the way of the player's progress. So I think that's pretty nice as far as the maze. And so let's try it again, this time with rooms and wide margin. So rooms, margins, and wide passages. So let's choose that one and we'll press OK. So now we have rooms, we do have margins around the edge, and then we have wide passages connecting the rooms. So I think that looks fairly nice, So I'm going to change it though. I'm going to change it to this dirt sort of appearance, and I will choose this wall as well. So we'll press OK to that. And now we have this appearance. If we zoom in, we can see what it looks like. It sort of has this reddish border around the edges of the wall of the cave, and then a different color to the dirt on the ground. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I may change it later. But anyway, that's what we have for now. And so once we have this dungeon generated, one thing we might want to add next is we might want to add a pit. So let's go ahead and add some pits. Okay, so these are going to be transfers that we can use to take us from one map to another map. Okay, so we're going to start on this map. Let's add in some pits. So I select this pit graphic, and then I'm going to just draw it on here where I want the pit to be. And I am going to go to the second tab here, and I'm also going to choose a stairway because I do want there to be a stairway going down that we can use to come up if we fall down the pit to come back out. But it's important to note for design purposes, you might want to have pits as one-way transfers. That's something we haven't talked much about yet in our series of videos about RPG Maker MZ transfers, is that previously, we had transfers that would take you in and out. You could go back and forth between one map and another. But if you have a pit, it can take you down, and there's no way to get back up again, right? Unless you wanted there to be a way back up with a stairway, or alternatively to a stairway, we could use something like this ladder here, or we could use a rope. The rope looks pretty cool too, honestly. So any one of those would work well. Okay. All right. So now that we have this pit here, there's an important thing we have to do. We have to make sure that this tile, whichever tile we chose to be a pit, it needs to be possible for the player to walk on it. If we were to try it right now, then you would see if we go into playtesting mode, we won't be able to walk on it. So let's just go in and we'll make a new game. And we try to go here and walk on it, but there's no way to walk on that tile. If we come over to this tile, we can walk on it. We just need to make sure that it goes somewhere. Okay, so in order to make this tile so that we can walk on it, we need to go to the database, and we need to find the tile set, the dungeon tile set that we're using, and it's an X right now, so we should change that to an O. Remember, the X means you can't walk on it. The star means that it should appear above the player and that the player should be able to walk underneath of it. And the O means that you can walk on top of it. Okay, so we're going to choose the O so that we can walk on top of it, and we'll press OK. And that'll apply to other maps that use this same tile set. So if another map uses the dungeon tile set, it will also allow the player to walk on the pits unless you do something to prevent it, which there are ways to do that as well with regions or events or things like that. Okay. All right, so now we have our pit, and now we want it to go somewhere. So if we're in our generated dungeon here, we've got kind of a large room here, and I just want to make it so that it has a way to get back up if you fall down the pit. And so let's go ahead and add in some sort of ladder. We're just going to add it in on the side here of this. There we go, right on the side of the wall there. It looks like there's a ladder there. If we wanted to make it even a little bit more obvious that there's something special about the ladder, we could make it have a little bit different ground underneath of the ladder. So maybe if I choose one of these. Okay, there we go. This is what I want. I want to use this sort of mossy appearance here. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to go back here, and I am going to place down some of this moss right here. So that way it looks like somehow there's getting to be a little bit of light here, and it just makes it more obvious that there's going to be an exit at this ladder. Okay, so now that I have that, I have an exit to the dungeon there. Now I want a place where the pit will make you fall to, and a place to get out of it using the ladder. So let's go ahead and make a pit. So we're going to go here and choose our event editing mode. And we're going to double click here, going to make our event. And we'll just call this event a pit. And for our pit, you'll see that it's below characters. Right now, the trigger is the action button. We don't want that. We want it to be player touch. So when the player walks here, the event triggers. Okay, so now it's below the characters. It's player touch. It doesn't need to be walking or stepping or anything like that. If it's through on, it may make it so that events may walk over it if you have like NPCs or monsters walking around. So we don't really need through on either. So basically we want it below characters, and player touch we want to be on. Okay, so now we're going to choose the contents of this. First, we want it to play a sound effect. We're going to have it play a falling sound effect. So let's choose fall and try it out. Okay, pretty good. If you want to change the pitch, you can. Like if it's a really long fall. Okay. Okay, so I'm not sure which one I like best, but I'll choose that at that pitch of 70. So that way it sounds like we're falling if we step on this tile. Now we'll choose new, and we're going to choose movement transfer player. We're going to choose the player's location. Where do we want the player to end up at if the player steps on this tile? So if we go down here to our generated dungeon, here's our ladder. So how about we have the player appear somewhere near to the ladder? Because up here, we had the ladder right there. If the player falls, maybe they're just to the right of the ladder. So how about we do that? We'll just place the player there. And we're going to have the direction be facing down when they arrive there. So, and we do want it to fade with black, not with white or with no fade. It needs a little bit of fade. Okay, so now we have it as a pit. And we're going to just copy that event, and we're going to place it at other places where the player could access that pit from. We could even place it there if we wanted, but currently there's no way to access the pit there. All right, and so while we're at it, let's go ahead and add a transfer for the ladder. So let's right click here. We'll just use the quick event creation this time and choose transfer. And we're going to choose the location. We're going to go down to our generated dungeon and press right here. And then we're going to choose direction facing downward. And then we're going to go down to our generated dungeon, and we're going to make an event here. And I just need to see if we're going to be stepping on this tile or not based off of the way the tile was. And so I'm going to choose quick event creation, and I'm going to choose transfer, and I'm going to send it back up to the cave right next to it, maybe either on top of it or next to it. Either way would work. So we're going to have it be right there maybe, or right there. And we'll choose direction down. So let's try it out and see if that is working correctly. So we'll go to new game. We'll go in our cave, and now we can jump in the pit, and it takes us right there in the pit. And we can climb back up the ladder, and it takes us right next to the ladder there. Or we can climb down the ladder. And if we wanted, we could choose a different sound for the ladder, but I think the ladder sound is satisfactory, and we can go back out of the cave just as we made the transfer event before. Okay, so, all right, so now there's a way into the cave. We have pits, they have sound effects. They're very similar to our other transfers. The main difference is the sound effect, and then the design decision of making it so it's a one-way transfer. We do have a way out with a ladder, but we don't have to do that. So we could have one-way transfers with our pits, which is a nice way to do things. However, we want to do something else. We want to do something else now. We want to make it so that we use transfers in another way that we haven't done before, where we base it off of the coordinates of the player. So whichever tile the player is on, the player will go from that coordinate on the current map to the same coordinate on another map. So let's make that. That'll be the next thing we'll do. So to do this first, let's copy the map that we have, and we will, well, actually first let's add some pits to it. So I'm going to add some pits and a little bit of decoration just to make it interesting. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some of these pits. Okay, so now I've added a few pits to the map. So now there are various places where the player could fall. And let's copy this dungeon. We're going to copy this map. So we'll choose copy. And now we're going to choose paste. And so now we have another dungeon. These both look the same, but let's right click on this one. And we're going to call it generated dungeon B2. We're going to keep the same tile set, but let's change up the walls in B2 a little bit. And the pits, we wanted the player to fall onto these locations where the pits are. And so let's change the appearance of B2. All right, so now we have dungeon level 1, the B1, or and this is B2. Well, I guess this cave is technically already downstairs. So inside the cave, though, we could name this to B1, and then we have B2 underneath of it. Okay, and you'll notice that I've used very similar layout because I copied one map to the other and then I've just redecorated it. And we're going to say that the goal in this dungeon is for the player to get to this statue right here. And it's possible using the pits to come in right here and just go down one of these pits at the beginning and get to the statue. But then the struggle in this dungeon might be if we make it hard for the player to get back out, where they have to walk all the way across all the lava types of or the hot types of tiles here, and all the way back here to this ladder to get back out. So now we're going to have to add in some of the pits that we will use here. So all of these need to have the pits working. So in order to make the pit, it's basically going to be the same as these pits up here. So I'm going to go up here and copy with Control C. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to paste Control V. And then let's take a look at this pit. Now this pit, we're going to make it a coordinate transfer. So I'm going to name it coordinate transfer like that. And then when we do this transfer, we're going to make it so that we keep the player's current position and we use that for the new map where the player will go. So we're going to edit it, and instead of doing a direct designation, we're going to designate with variables, and we're going to choose for the ID, we're going to choose the map ID that we want it to go to, which we have to check this map right here. If we click on this map, we'll see right here, this is map ID 7. You can see it down there on the bottom. Or if you right click on it and choose edit, you'll see this is ID 7. So we want the player to go to map ID 7. So from here on this event, we'll edit it, and we're going to choose for the variables that we need one that is going to equal 7. So we need to make new variables to hold this information. So we're going to choose on top of here to make a new event command, and we're going to control variables, and we're going to make a new variable, which we will call, so we'll call it destination map ID. Okay. So we'll choose destination map ID, and we're going to choose map ID 7. Okay, so now once we have our destination map ID, we're going to choose here and we're going to create another event command. We're going to choose control variables, and we are going to make a new variable. We need variables for the X coordinate and the Y coordinate. So we're going to say destination Y coordinate, and we're going to choose, well, we need X and Y. So we'll have the X coordinate, and then right here, we're going to have destination Y coordinate. So we'll have both of these, and we're going to choose the X coordinate first, and we'll make it equal to game data. We'll go inside of game data. We'll choose character player map X. Okay. So now we have the destination map ID 7, destination X coordinate is the map X of the player. We'll choose another one new, control variables. We're going to choose the destination Y coordinate, and we're going to choose game data and choose the character player's map Y. Okay, so now we're getting the X coordinate to be the map X of the player, Y coordinate to the map Y of the player, then the destination map ID is 7. We're going to change this transfer now. So now we're going to do the designation with variables, and we're going to have it go to the destination map ID. going to have it go to the destination X coordinate for the X, and for the Y, we're going to have it go to the destination Y coordinate. So Y to Y, X to X, the ID of the map is the map ID there. The direction the player will be facing is down, and the fade will be black. And so now this will allow us to fall to that location. And so just to make sure it works, we can go ahead and test it out, and we'll just have to make sure we go to that tile right there. So whenever you're making these things, it's good to test them from time to time. Make sure you've got everything right. So we can fall in this pit, but now if we go up here, right now we can walk on these tiles, you'll see. So that looks silly, but if we step here, it takes us right there. So you'll see that those were the matching locations, the matching coordinates on this map and the map below it. So right there on this map and the map below it, matching coordinates. So now that we have that worked out, we can take the same event and it's ready for us to copy to all the different pits. So we'll just copy and paste all the way around. Okay, so now we have events all the way around for all the pit tiles that are accessible to the player. And they will take the player to the appropriate locations below on the dungeon B2. Now from dungeon B2, we want a way to get back out again. And so I need to make this ladder right here work. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. It'll be just like this one that we made before. All right, so now that all should be working. And if we just test it out, can go to new game. Okay, so we're able to fall down into this map, and of course we're able to get back out of it and go back in again. Now if we fall down, we'll go to the place that we fell down it from above. Now it does have damage tiles on, so let's see. It is hurting my characters quite a bit. I can't remember if I set it so that I can die yet. I don't think I can die. Let's say we went there. There's an option. Okay, so we're not dead yet. So there's an option in the options menu where you can choose whether your characters will continue to get hurt or if they will no longer get hurt. So looks like by default you can't die pressing stepping on the tiles. But this dungeon's kind of interesting. The difficult part is getting out after you get to that statue, and it's not so much getting in because you can just fall in from anywhere. If you like this video, please check out all our other tutorials about how to make maps and transfers for RPG Maker MZ, available on the Tyruswoo RPG Maker channel. And thank you so much for learning with Tyruswoo Studio.